Graham Barnes, that was his name when he went to Glenbot School. His teacher said to him, "Barnes, if you don't put down that guitar and take life seriously, you'll end up just as a street cleaner." Graham Barnes became Alvin Lee and one of the most famous guitarists in the world. There we are. Kate, my wife, first saw them when they were in the Jaybirds. Alvin was in this band called the Jaybirds, and she saw them at, I think it was Cornhill Social Club on Carlton Hill. That would be in the early 60s. She conned her brother to take her there because she was underage. She shouldn't really be in there. So she'd go and see Alvin. And she got a signed photograph of him, which was lovely. Fast forward to 1968, the summer, and there was the Sunbury Festival. It was a jazz and blues festival, which the Marquee Club in London put on. And lots of top names were there. People were about to come, top names. The Nice was on, Jethro Tull. Oh, it was brilliant. And I was vaguely aware of 10 years after. The year before, at that festival, they weren't even worthy of the main stage in the Marquee. This time, there they were on the main stage. And we'd heard about them. And 10 years after was the name. Great name. But totally different from the Jaybirds. Then when I went to Radio Nottingham, 10 years after, appeared many times in the area. I remember being at Clifton College, and I'm sure they were top of the bill over Pink Floyd. So they were big. And went to see them many times. Last time I saw them was at the Concert Hall in Nottingham. But all that time, wearing... To bear in mind, they were famous in 1969 because they were Woodstock. They really made a big name for themselves at Woodstock. All these years on, I still hadn't interviewed Alvin. I'd interviewed many people in the rock world, not Alvin. And then we went to Spain. And I phoned him up because he had an album out called Still on the Road Again. I said, "Alvin, can you come on the radio? We'll do a link up, we'll meet up. You in Spain and I here in Nottingham. And we'll do a link up and you choose some of your favourite music." And this is the result you're going to hear in a moment. Still on the Road to Freedom.
Yes, sir. I certainly am.
From the brand new album from Alvin Lee. An album, Alvin, which, it's not because I'm now talking to you, I can say it behind your back as well. I think we could play any track on our radio station from that album. It's so accessible.
Oh, that's great, John. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased about that.
And still the old guitar licks are still there, sir.
Oh, yeah. I haven't slowed down too much in my old age.
Now, your parents were musical, weren't they?
That's right, Sam and Doris. My dad played a bit of guitar. My mum played a 4-string tenor guitar and ukulele, and we used to have sing-songs around the fire when I was little. That was a really good inspiration, a really good growing up situation.
But you played clarinet, didn't you?
I did, for a year, yeah. The first instrument, I think I was like 11, and my parents said, "What do you want to learn to play?" I really don't know why I chose the clarinet. I think my brother-in-law played the clarinet. That was probably the reason. Yeah. Enjoyed playing the clarinet, but through playing the clarinet, I listened to Benny Goodman, and I heard Charlie Christian, Benny Goodman's guitarist, and I thought, I think I preferred that sound to the clarinet. And then, of course, the rock and roll thing came out, Bill Haley and Chuck Berry, and suddenly... So I went and sold my clarinet and bought a guitar.
Another turning point in your life in those days was it the Test Match Hotel in West Bridgford?
That's right. That's where all the American artists used to come, and my mum and dad used to go down there regularly and see Chris Barber and Lonnie Donegan, and also Big Bill Broonzy. And one particular memorable night, my father came and woke me up and said, "You've got to come and meet this guy." And there was this Big Bill Broonzy sitting in the living room with a guitar.
My goodness, how exciting!
I was very impressionable age, and I think that's when I became a blueser.
But it's a big step from learning to play the guitar and then forming a band, isn't it?
Kind of. I was pretty quick on picking up the guitar. I had a year on chords from a local guy named Norman Barnacle. He's a very good teacher, and he played the kind of Django Reinhardt-style rhythms and things like that. So I learned all the chords first, and I've learned rhythm guitar for about a year. And then kind of branched out on my own and started to learn solo guitar myself by ear.
Was your first band the Atomites then?
The very first band was Vince Marshall and the Square Caps. which we played at All Souls Church Hall in Radford. And it was funny because we rehearsed for about 3 months and did the one gig and broke up.
But then you're sort of Mansfield-based a little bit, weren't you?
Well, no, I was all based in Nottingham, but when I went to do an audition for the Atomites, as you mentioned, they were a Mansfield band. Then that's where I met Leo Lyons. He was playing bass for them. And in fact, he just had an ordinary guitar with bass strings on it. But we got on really well because he was a big Bill Black Elvis fan, and I was a big Scotty Moore Elvis fan. And so it ended up I pinched him from the Atomites. I didn't take the job. I took their bass player instead.
Yes. Scotty Moore, of course, was Elvis's guitarist. And later in life, you got to play with him, didn't you?
That's right, I actually did. That was what a great moment. I met him in London, and he was doing a showcase for an album he'd released at Air Studios, and I got a letter inviting me to go down and jam, and I was there like a shot, and I got up with Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana, Elvis's original drummer, on the stage, and I think I did Rip It Up and Hound Dog and Blue Suede Shoes, and it was just fantastic to have those guys. I mean, these guys I'd been listening to as a kid on record, and there I was playing with them.
But when I look through your favourite tracks, there's no Elvis in here. You've got a next track is Buddy Holly.
This is true, yeah, actually. I don't know why that is. It's probably because they're so favourite of mine, I didn't think of them.
Well, tell us about Buddy Holly then.
Buddy Holly, yeah. Well, that was actually. I was thinking of the Nottingham connection, and the first time I ever heard Buddy Holly, I was standing on the waltzers at Goose Fair, and I still remember it to this day. And it's the magic thing about music, because whenever I hear that track, I can hear the waltzers spinning around. I can hear the diesel engines. I can hear the screams. I can smell the diesel fumes. I can smell the onions from the hot dogs, and it just takes me straight back to that, and it sounded so great in that environment. It's still one of the best rock and roll songs I think's ever been recorded.
That'll be the day from Buddy Holly. My guest is Alvin Lee, who's now solo, got his new album out, still on the road to freedom. Of course, before that with 10 Years After, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. But we're going through the Atomites at the moment. The Jaybirds was next, was it?
Yeah, well, it was Ivan J and the J Cats. I met this singer named Ivan J, and he was very good in the kind of a bit of a Billy Fiore. He had blonde hair and a lame suit, which was necessary in those days. Yeah, he was a good singer, actually, and so I'd been talking to him. He didn't have a band, and I brought a Leo along with him, and we found a drummer, and we became the J Cats. And for some reason or along the way, we changed it to the Jaybirds. Oh, no, it was the J-Men. J-Men, then the J-Cats, then the Jaybirds.
And those were the days before local radio. No BBC Radio Nottingham were around at the time to stir up interest. But you were one of the sensations of Nottinghamshire, weren't you? I mean, people travelled all over to see you. Where do you remember playing?
We used to play at the YMCA.
Shakespeare Street?
That's right, yeah. We used to play there every Friday. We used to play at a place called the Carousel Club, various pubs and all sorts. But also we used to play all around. We used to go out to play Mansfield, Chesterfield, even up to Newcastle and Leeds, places like that.
Where do you play in Mansfield?
Mansfield, what was it called? It was called the Sutton Hop. It was a pub gig at quite a big pub room. And that was the main gig there. I don't know the actual name of the pub. I used to, but...
My wife, who's got a signed autograph of you as a trio...
really?
Yeah, she got it down at the Cornhill Social Club on Carlton Hill.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. We used to rehearse there, yeah.
It's hard to put into perspective, but you had an enormous following, didn't you, in this area?
Pretty good, yeah. I suppose one of the top bands in Nottingham. We used to be working pretty regularly. We used to work at least every Friday and Saturday, but often 4 or 5 nights a week. We played the Sherwood Rooms, we played the Locarno, played the Pally, played also, what's that other great place we played? Dancing Slipper in West Bridgford.
People still talk about the band, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. There's not many bands from that era they talk about, but they still talk about your band.
I know the Beatmen, they were pretty big there too, and there was a guy called Trevor Gotteridge who was rated the #1 guitarist. I forgot the name of his band, The Strangers, I think, or something like that.
Now, the next one takes me back to my childhood. Dick James and Robin Hood.
That's Robin Hood, that's right, yeah. I had to include that one. I actually love that sound of that arrow in the beginning. It's good, just boing, and then, of course, the song comes in. And I remember when I was living there was always people were always stealing his arrow from the statue. Is that still going on?
It has been, but not recently. So
Okay.
let's not start it again.
That's right. I used to get through about 40 arrows a year, I remember. But, no, it's a silly song, it's a fun song, but I thought it would be a good laugh to play. Robin Hood riding through the glen.
Hood is... We don't play that enough on BBC Radio Nottingham, and Dick James with his son shouting, "Hooray, here comes Robin Hood." That's the next choice of my guest, Alvin Lee, former 10 years after. Alvin, we got up to the point where we've got the local bit, but then people started taking notice. I mean, looking back, it was the era of pre-Beatles, so it was the Larry Parnes package tours, wasn't it?
Yep, yeah, I went to see quite a few of those Larry Parnes. They used to come to the Theatre Royal. I saw quite a few of those gigs there, and they were the great days. I know that Gene Vincent, I saw Gene Vincent actually, along with Duffy Power and Marty Wilde at the Wildcats at the Theatre Royal. He's my next choice because Bebopaloola is one of the classic rock and roll songs that was ever made. And
But you ended up backing some of these guys, didn't you?
Never did back Gene Vincent. We did back a few people. We used to back, let's see, who did we? Well, we worked with an agency and we backed quite a lot of American artists that came over.
What about the British ones? I've got you down as Johnny Gentle.
Johnny Gentle.
Vince Eager?
Yeah, I think we did something with Johnny. That was through Reg Calvert, that's right. We worked with Reg Calvert out of Birmingham.
Yeah.
And he had this rock and roll castle where he used to keep all his artists, and he actually got us a gig. He got us the Hamburg Star Club. We played the Star Club in Hamburg through him. And he had Rory Storm and Johnny Gentle and all these guys with funny names. And, yeah, we used to go out backing them as just kind of bread and butter work, really. But
you backed Vince Eager as well, who still lives locally, didn't you?
That's right, yeah that's right, Vince Eager, of course. You remember more than I do, John.
Now, you mentioned the Star Club at Hamburg, which was a real sort of breaking ground. It was the place to sort of cut your teeth. And you were there just before the Beatles, weren't you?
The Beatles had already been there. They weren't there at the time we were there. I think it was. I'm not dead sure of the year. I'd guess it about 1964. And we went to Hamburg. I was just turned 18, so 41. It'd be 62 probably.
Yeah, I got it down to 62.
You're right, yeah.
Tell us about...
It was fantastic. I mean, it was my first trip abroad and also my first... don't know if I can say this on a Sunday, but it's my first lessons on sex, drugs and rock and roll.
You've said it. Tell me about the Greek waiter.
The Greek waiter.
There's one of these apocryphal stories, perhaps it is or not true, that you were down as a 5-piece, you were only a 4-piece, therefore you brought in a Greek waiter who couldn't sing.
Okay, well, actually, where did you get that? We may well have been a Greek waiter. Yeah, we were actually a 3-piece. Jaybirds were a 3-piece, and Reg Calvert said to go to Hamburg you had to have a 4-piece. So he had this guy kind of just hanging around who played rhythm guitar. His name was Kostas Stavros, I believe, and he was a nice enough bloke, but we didn't really need a rhythm guitarist, so we used to unplug him while he wasn't looking.
Right. Gene Vincent next.
Gene Vincent, Bebopaloola, that's right. I also worked with this guy in Nottingham called Cal Danger, who was, he looked like Gene Vincent. He wore the leather suit and the medallion. He even had the leg iron. Like Gene Vincent. We went to see Gene at the Theatre Royal, and we were in this little coffee bar across the road from there in the afternoon, and with this guy Cal with his full leather gear posing as Gene Vincent. And Gene Vincent walked in. It's so funny to see the look he gave him. He didn't say anything, but he gave him such a weird look.
Vincent and Bebopalula, and there'll be more from the music and the choices of Alvin Lee after you've had the news and travel. So, in this hour, we're talking to Alvin Lee, who first found fame in this area with the Jaybirds. And then, of course, the band changed its name to 10 years after. So I asked him, why 10 years after?
We had a few names going at the time. One of them was Life Without Mother. It was nearly the choice. Another was the Concrete Abstract I even forgot what. You always think up lots of silly names. But I like 10 years after because it was like 1965, and that was 10 years after we were first heard about Elvis and Bill Haley and all the rock and roll. So it seemed to fit. And it was just a nice phrase, and it didn't tie us down to being, I think we'd been called the Blues Yard for it when we first played the Marquee. But I figured, if you called the Blues Yard, then you pretty much got stuck playing blues forever.
Yeah. I mean, you've mentioned the Marquee, and that was for Cliff Richard and Tommy Still, it was a 2 Hours coffee bar. For the era we're talking about, It was the Marquee, wasn't it? And you were playing it.
That's right, yeah. We, in fact, had a Friday night residency, which was quite a big deal in those days. And, of course, all the bands played there, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, everybody you've ever heard of in England played at the Marquee. It was the place to play, really.
Remind us, what was the lineup of Blues Yard or 10 years after at that time?
10 years after was myself, Leo Lyons on the bass, and then Rick Lee on the drums from Mansfield, and Chick Churchill on the keyboards. He was from Trowell and Ilkeston.
Yeah, I've got him down. Yeah, his parents ran an off-licence in Woollerton Road in Beeston, right. And he was at Bramcote Hill School, apparently.
Really? Oh, there you go. You know more than me again.
Just before we move, just sort of leave the Marquee, is it true you played in a pub band on a West End production of Saturday Night, Sunday Morning?
That's right. Yeah, we did the audition in Nottingham because it was Alan Sillitoe who wrote that play, Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. It was all based in Nottingham, and so they wanted a Nottingham band to add a bit of local flavour to it. We went along to the audition and just messed around for an hour and told a few jokes and played a few songs, and we got the gig, which was great because we went to London. We got a flat in London. We did 6 months rehearsals. And then we started at the Prince of Wales Theatre in the West End, and we played this live section on stage, like a pub scene it was, and I think it was June Ritchie was she got up in the pub and sang Anyone Had a Heart, and we had to back her. But also we played incidental music in the wings and little walk-on crowd part scenes as well. But it's a really good experience. Unfortunately, the show only ran for 2 weeks and then it came off again. But it got us into London, that's the main thing. It got us established in London. We got a flat and made some contacts during that time.
Yeah. Well, Alan Sillitoe, of course, no longer with us, but David Sillitoe still guests here at BBC Radio Nottingham, his son. He's a photographer.
Does he?
Yeah.
Give him my regards.
Yes. Only the Lonely, Roy Orbison. Now, this brings in love interest, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Only the Lonely. Yeah, that reminds me of my childhood sweetheart, Marlene Wilkinson. I used to go around to her house, and for some reason it was always Only the Lonely on the dance set, and that's another of those times it just takes me back. I could just go back in time, and she was the most beautiful girl, of course, the most beautiful girl in my school. Yeah. I was very pleased to be dating her. And
well, you're a good-looking fellow, aren't you? You still are. I'm sorry, you are a good-looking fellow, aren't you?
Well, I wasn't. At that age, nobody's sure, are
they? No, that's true. And I think
but they were very, very happy memories, and Marlene's still around and remembers me too.
Where did you used to take her out for your dates then?
Oh, we used to go to Woolton Park. Dates as such, cracky, I don't know, but nobody had any money in those days. Used to go and sit in Woolton Park, I think.
Yes, there was no credit cards in those days.
Have a cuddle in the moat around the Woolton Park, whatever, museum, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. And my guest, Alvin Lee. Is there any truth in the rumour? I mean, your real name's Graham Barnes, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's not the rumour. Did your headmaster decry you for playing the guitar?
Oh, I hated school. I mean, I left when I left school. I buried that guy, that name, because that name just haunted me all the way through school. Every day I'd go into school and say, which You know, I was actually at school one day, and a new teacher came in and said, "Which one is Barnes?" So I stood up and he went, "I'll keep my eye on you." And that's a brand new teacher. I'd never even met him.
That's not right, is it?
But I was a rebel at school. A rebel without a clue, I think. That's the right phrase for that.
The story is the head teacher or headmaster said to you, "Barnes, if you keep playing that guitar, you'll make nothing of your life."
Oh, I was always in trouble. If everything bad happened to the school, at the school, they called me in and blamed me for it, usually.
Which school was that?
Margaret Glenmott Secondary School.
Oh.
In fact, I've got this friend who's actually a school inspector, and he said, you know, they're pulling your old school down, the Margaret Glenmott, and we wondered if you'd like to come along, because we're having like a celebration of all the old people that were at the school. And I said, well, only if you'll let me drive the bulldozer.
Tommy Tucker, High Heel Sneakers next.
Oh, that was a great song, yeah. That was the first blues song that really got into the charts. And what was great about it, it was a kind of off-the-wall song. It was released and went zooming up to #1 for reasons no one can really understand. So then when the music papers wanted a picture of Tommy Tucker, nobody had a picture of him. There was no picture of him. Nobody could find him, and he had a #1 record with High Heel Sneakers. So it's a great song, great track. And it reminds me too, when I came back from London the first time, I had these high-heeled Cuban boots. Can you remember those things?
I can indeed, yeah.
I was one of the first in Nottingham to wear those, and it used to cause quite a stir walking into a Nottingham pub in high-heeled boots.
High Heel Sneakers from Tommy Tucker, the next choice of my guest here on BBC Radio Nottingham, Alvin Lee. The next thing really that started to break you were the big rock festivals. There was Windsor Jazz and Blues Festival.
That's one, yeah.
And I saw you in 1968 at Sunbury.
Oh, right,
the National Jazz and Blues Festival, which, you know, when you look back, the lineup, Crazy World of Arthur Brown, The Nice, Jerry Lee Lewis, Deep Purple, Taste, Jethro Tull, Tyrannosaurus Rex, John Mayall, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and 10 years after.
Yeah, they were good days, weren't they?
Well, they were good days for you in the end, because you ended up at Woodstock, didn't you?
That's right.
It doesn't get much bigger than Woodstock, does it?
No, that's about it, yeah.
I mean, the people you played alongside.
Yeah, well, it was what was happening at the time. I think at the Woodstock, I mean, people often say, you know, they should put up another Woodstock, but I mean, it couldn't be done these days. To start with, it was an accident. I mean, the whole thing was an accident. It was organised. The festival was supposed to be for like 50,000 people, and 500,000 turned up.
What was it like standing in front of all those people?
Well, to be honest, it's not that much different to standing in front of 500 people. In fact, because, you know, you can only actually see the first few rows, and then it's like the heads just disappear over the horizon, and it's a great feeling. It's a fantastic. You get the feeling of that people, but you don't actually, you know, standing on stage with people looking at you. It only has to be a dozen people looking at you, and you've got this, you know, you've got that feeling. You've got to do something. You've got to show them what you can do.
But then you're alongside people like Santana, Jimi Hendrix.
That's right. Well, it just makes you play better, doesn't it?
Well, you certainly did play better, because not only was it, well, I don't know whether you played any better than you were before, but you know what I mean? It certainly brought out the best in you, because that moment, which is now captured, thankfully, on film, is still, you know, it's just one of the moments in Woodstock, isn't it? You playing that guitar.
Yeah, it is a magic moment, actually, yeah. I mean, you know, to be honest, I wasn't even sure when we started the set at Woodstock. We came on after the thunderstorm. And, of course, there was lots of atmosphere and lots of water vapour in the air, and it was very damp, and all the guitars went out of tune in the second song. And I actually had to stop the song in the middle and say, whoa, 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 sorry, we're going to have to stop the band and tune up. And at that point, I thought, oh, this is a disaster, you know. So how are we going to... Because you kind of lose the vibe of playing live if you have to stop and tune up. But as you can see from the final... I'm Going Home version, we managed to get back on course towards the end of the set.
Yeah, it was about 16 minutes, wasn't it?
It was over 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, magnificent. And as I say, it made you into, if you weren't already, international stars, alongside these great, great guitarists. And Your next piece of music is another very good guitarist. People just think him as a cheeky chappie who sang songs or sings songs. But Joe Brown is a great guitarist, isn't he?
He's a great guitarist. He's possibly my best friend. I love Joe. He comes over and visits me regularly. I go and see him, and we write songs together. And I mean, most people think, oh, yeah, he does Henry VIII and stuff like that. But he's done lots more stuff. He's done some really good rhythm and blues. He plays bottleneck guitar, pretty much like Ry Cooder. He plays mandolin. He plays fiddle. He plays accordion. He's a multi-instrumentalist. And, of course, seeing Oh Boy when I was like a teenager, that really was a big influence on me. See Joe up there shaking his blonde head around and shouting aye aye.
That's right, he did, didn't he? Well, the track is called Well, Well, Well.
That's right. It's a good one too.
Joe Brown, Well, Well, Well. It's on his 50th anniversary album as well, I'm pleased to say. And Joe Brown's still doing the rounds. Alvin, I lost track of you a little bit. It was only when I was genning up on you, I realised, you've been playing with some famous people since 10 years after Split. I've got George Harrison, Stevie Winwood, Ronnie Wood, Mick Fleetwood, Bo Diddley.
Yeah.
And obviously we've mentioned Scotty Moore. You've not sort of late sort of retired, have you?
No. I mean that's really the fun part of playing is when you can go and play with your heroes. Jerry Lee Lewis was a big hero of mine, and I played the London sessions. They called me up, said, "Do you want to play with Jerry Lewis?" And said, "How much do you charge?" And I said, "It's free. I'll be right there."
Well, we're going to hear that in a moment. You can do an introduction to that as your final piece for us. So do you keep in touch with Leo Lyons, Rick Lee and Chick Churchill anymore?
A little bit. Not a lot, to be honest. We swap emails maybe on our birthdays, things like that.
Yeah. And now you're living in Spain?
Yes, sir.
Same girlfriend?
Same girlfriend as what?
Well, I got you down as Evie, Bavarian girlfriend Evie.
That's right, yes. Certainly, yes. I thought you meant Marlene from Nottingham.
Now, that would have been something. What do you miss? Yeah. What do you miss about Nottingham? Do you feel homesick ever?
I don't feel homesick. I have fond memories of Nottingham. To be honest, every time I've been back, I hardly recognise it now because, I mean, it's the same buildings, but I remember the Market Square, where the lions are supposed to roar when a virgin walks past. And that was all, you could go up any of those roads. You could come down Parliament Street and back up Parliament Street. You go up and down Ilkeston Road and Derby Road. Now it's all one-way system. It's very strange. In fact, you can't even hardly drive yourself into the Market Square these days, can you?
Well, it's lovely talking to you, Alvin, really.
Well, they're good, very fond memories of Nottingham. It's a wonderful place, and I will be back.
So the Jerry Lee Lewis, the London Sessions, we've got to listen out for you on this, haven't we?
That's right. Jerry's great. I mean, he came in the studio and we'd been practicing, kind of playing the band had been playing for about an hour before we arrived, and he walked in and he got his overcoat on. He took a whiskey bottle out of his overcoat, put it on the piano, and he said, "You all know my tunes. When I stomp my feet, you play. When I lift my head, you stop." And went straight into the first number. And it was that loose and rough, but it was great. And at the end of Memphis, Tennessee, which is the track we're going to play, it all kind of collapsed at the end, and we're in Memphis, and all the band stumbled, and you can hear me in the background, and I show, "Tennessee!" And Jerry says, "That's one hell of an ending."
Alvin Lee almost ruining the ending of that. And Memphis, Tennessee, taken from the London Sessions of Jerry Lee Lewis.
Graham Barnes, we all knew him, Alvin Lee. Sadly, a year later, he died. He was in the operating theatre, being operated on for something quite simple, arrhythmia, heart disorder. And he died there. At the age of, it's only his late 60s. It's absolutely terrible. So, Alvin, thank you for that interview. I must have been the last person to interview. And thank you for becoming not a street cleaner, but what you dubbed as the fastest guitarist in the West.
Nice. Like that.